All right, welcome back. Welcome back to our series. We're going to be continuing on today with another episode of this home lab build. So today we are going to be focusing on printers. Now, a lot of times you basically need a printer to print. We're going to go ahead and install a print server, configure it, and then we are going to deploy the printer so that it can be available in Active Directory. And also we can write a GPO to push it across the network so other devices as well can find it. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's go ahead and fire up Hyper-V real quick, and I'm going to show you. I've already built out a brand new server. I skipped all the steps, so all the basics you should know already. Joining the computer to the domain, giving it an IP address, turning off the firewall, renaming it, and all that good stuff. So I'm not going to go over these little steps anymore in the videos to come. I will just start off with a brand new server, just as an implied task that these are things that you need to have done prior to us starting. All right, so checkpoint, like I said, you want to create a checkpoint at each time we start, just in case you mess it up. You can go back and start there. I've already created a checkpoint for this. So if you look at my box right here, and we go down to checkpoints. It's hidden right here, but you can see it. Sorry, right there. So if I click here, you'll see that I've already created a checkpoint called before install print server roles. Okay, so those are just the basics. We talked about these in the beginning, and I just want to let you know that to speed up some of the videos and not have the video so long, we're skipping some of those basic steps. All right, so let's get started. We're going to go ahead and open up our print server, and we're going to go ahead and log in. As you can see, this computer is already joined to the domain. So let's go ahead and log in. Now, I wanted to take you to this page. So the printer that we're working with, that's I have in my lab, is called an HP Color LaserJet Pro MFP, and that is the model of it. So if you are starting out from fresh, you want to locate the print drivers. Normally they come on a CD or a DVD. In this day and age, some printers they tell you to find the drivers from the manufacturer online. So I don't have the drivers on a CD, so I have to download them from HP. So you want to go to HP, search for the model. If it's a Dell or whatever, Xerox, just go to the manufacturer website and look for the drivers. So I've already went here and I've found all the drivers that I will need, and I've already downloaded them. Now, a cool tool that I like to use is called WinRAR. WinRAR. It's like RAR. WinRAR. Anyways, this is a good archiver to. It's like WinZip, but it has a little bit more features. So I like to download this as well and install it so that we can use it to extract the drivers that we're going to need. So let's minimize the browser real quick, and let's go to downloads, and you'll see that I've already downloaded all the drivers. So I'm gonna go ahead and install WinRAR first, WinRAR, um, and then we're gonna use that to do the extraction of all of these drivers that we have here. So click it, install. WinRAR is a free software that's online that you can use. If you have a chance, donate to them because the program is really good. I've donated to them a couple of times because I like the software and the production of it. All right, so now we can start from the bottom or the top right here. Full web pack. This is a full version right there. I think I installed it twice. Looks like the same thing. Yep, sure is. So I'll just go ahead and delete that one so not to confuse. And then I think I had that twice as well. So whenever you see a number beside a file, normally it's the second version or the third version or whatever. So that means you probably have a duplicate of the file. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to extract the files to the same location, but we're going to create a folder with the extracted files. And as you can see right there, it showed up. Okay, so these are the drivers we're installing. The printers, when you're doing a print server, you need to find the printer, and then you also need the drivers to install it, so that you can deploy the drivers across the network for all the users to use. All right, same thing with here. We're going to go ahead and extract this as well. And this one, all of them, if they're extractable, you will know because it will tell you that they can be extracted. If they can't be extracted, it will also show that it can't be extracted. So for example, this HP one right here, I doubt, see, that means it's something that you have to install, right, just to get the drivers. So we'll go ahead and we're going to install that as well. So for this HP one, normally you will get, so this is asking me, okay, so this is a firmware update. So after the printer is installed, I will need to find this and also install the firmware and update it. Okay, so I think I have all the drivers that I need right now that are listed. And we're going to go ahead and close this. And now let's go ahead and add the roles and features that we need for the print server. So add roles and features, click next, next, next. All of those are default. You should know those by now. And we're going to go to, well, if you're watching this and you don't know, so this is a part of the domain. This is the name of the computer and then the domain. And I've already assigned an IP address of 95 according to my cut sheet. Printers you want to have with static or reserve IP so it doesn't change. So when your users are trying to find it over the network, it's the same IP recurring versus the IP changing all the time. Okay. We're looking for print and document services. We're going to click add all features, and then we're going to click next. We need no additional features, so we'll just click next. Next again on the same screen, and when you get to the role services, you want to make sure that print server role services is checked. You click next, restart the machine as necessary, and we're going to click install. Now this is a fairly easy install. I'm building out the lab with separate machines, but some of these roles and services can be actually installed together on a single box. So if you don't have the RAM and the space required when you're doing this lab series, you can combine some of the services. Okay, so if you have a domain controller, you could probably make it also a print server and a DHCP server and a DNS server and all that stuff, just for test purposes. In a real production environment, you don't want to do that. But if you don't have the space for this lab, you can go ahead and do that as well. All right, installation succeeded. Go ahead and click close. And as you can see, print services is here under my dashboard, and it shows up. Now what we need to do, we need to go ahead and go to print management. And you can see all the printers that are here that would be installed. By default, you'll have the two from Microsoft, XPS Document Writer and a Print to PDF that's built in. Now what we need to do first, let's go ahead and find the drivers. So let's right click that and add drivers. Now this is where we're going to find the driver types from the different from the location that we had earlier. I don't want anything x86 unless you're using older machine types where you're needing 32-bit. Everything that I'm working with will be 64-bit, so I'm just going to check 64-bit so that it will only pull over 64-bit drivers. Okay, I'm going to click have disk. Now by default, if it's not here, the manufacturer, you would have to try to find it, right? But since we know that we have the drivers, we're going to click have disk, and we're going to browse to the location which was on my PC under downloads, and we're going to start with getting all the drivers that we needed to be installed. So I want to go with the full Webpack first, and normally Autorun might have some drivers, so we can test it to see. Didn't like that, so nothing from Autorun, nothing from drivers either. So we're going to skip that one, and let's go to this one. Okay, no good drivers that I can use. Okay, this seems to open up a few that I need. So I have the PCL6. Go ahead and install that. So it will tell you that it's succeeded, and I have installed the Universal Printer in PCL6 x64. And we're going to click finish. Some computers require certain different drivers. Some printers also have multiple drivers as well. So I like to make sure that I have almost all the drivers that are needed for it. So as you can see here, it came with PCL6. I'm going to also install that one as well. So you bring over the version 7, right? And PCL6. As you can see, the driver version though, they're not really a big difference in between the two, but I just like to make sure I have them just in case a computer asks for it. All right, let's go back and we're gonna dig again and see have this. We're gonna browse. We're gonna leave this folder and go back to downloads, and we're gonna go up one. And let's see if we have any drivers in here that we could use. Nope. Okay. So this is for like Active Directory templates. And basically you just want to search. So I don't think any drivers are in this one, right? So let's go back to downloads. I'm going to go to the basic webpack, and normally in here, if you see the auto run, it probably doesn't have any as well. So let's go to the last one, 64-bit. And we found one more. Seems like it's the same version that's already installed here. So we don't need to add those. So we click cancel. All right, so we have the two drivers that are here, and now we need to go ahead and add a printer. The printer is going to be over the network because it is also a TCP/IP printer. So we will add this printer using TCP/IP, and we'll click next. Change this to TCP/IP, and then you want to add the IP address of the printer. So this one is 192.168.1, and I had a sheet that I used that I had printed out earlier to tell me what IP address my printer was picking up, since it's a DHCP printer on the outside of my home network. So 168.1.68 is the IP, and we're going to go to the next. It's going to say install new driver. So you can use the existing driver that's already on here because it's already installed, as you can see. So I don't need to install a new driver because I already have the drivers here. So I can click this one, or I can click that one, and we're going to try to use the latest version. The printer name, I want to keep it something where I can easily identify what the printer is. So let's go with HP color, and then we're going to call it MFP M283 and FDW. So I can easily identify this printer on the network. Okay, so that's going to be the name of it, and then that's also going to be the share name of it. Location, you can give it wherever you're located. So I'll say building 001. Just make up a location, and we're going to click next. So as you can see, you notice the printer name. I try to take the spaces out. It's kind of important because when you're trying to share this over the network, when you do the GPO later, it's best to not have any spaces inside of the name. Okay, so click next, and as you can see, that is it. And we're going to click next, and it's going to install the printer. So the next step from here, we're going to do a test page. I can't physically show you. I mean, I could if I walk over and bring the camera, but I want you to listen to the printer. So if everything is successful and this printer installs, you will hear it printing a test page. Give it a few more seconds for it to finish installing. Okay, so now this is where I'm saying you will hear a test page. So I want you to listen keenly, and you're going to hear the test page coming out. You guys hear it? Okay, so that means I was able to communicate with the printer, and I had a test page come out successfully. Okay, so that means this printer is good. Now, if you look under here, there are no deployed printers. Okay, so that means we have not deployed the printer. We installed it, but it's not deployed. One thing you could do though, and let's go to fire up Justin East on printer 3 on PC 3, and let's run some tests real quick. All right, so over here, we have Justin. We can go to control panel. Change the category to large icons, and then you can go to devices and printers, and we can see all the devices and printers that are here. All right, so what I wanted to show you, let's look at this from this angle real quick. Okay, currently nothing shows up in this printer, because if I want to add a printer and I'm searching for a printer, right, you can see that the domain printer is listed here. So the users can go out and try to click on this printer if they wanted to. But this is not the printer, because this was an older printer, right, that we used to have on this network. And it's not here no more. So we can't even connect to this printer because it's old. As you notice, the stat on the new printer that I named, this is not the name of it. So this is just an older printer that is showing up in here. And the reason why this doesn't show is because I have not shared this printer out as yet, so you can't see it over the network. So we're going to click cancel. And I wanted to show you a feature now. We're going to go ahead and list this in the directory. So once we list this in the directory now, you go back to try to refresh, and we're going to go to add. Now this printer is supposed to show up now right there inside of the directory once it's listed, you see? So now a user, once they go to install a printer, this is the easiest step for them. All they have to do is try to add the printer, and it will show up right there. And then they just click it and do an install. And that is the easiest way for you to deploy your printer out so that they can actually connect to it, right? So it shouldn't be anything hard. The user should already click on it. They should be able to self-install unless you restrict them. But by default, all users should just be able to click this. The drivers are already going to be preloaded from the server, and they can pull it in and actually install the server. Now that is one feature that you can use. Okay. Now another way we can do this is using a GPU to push this out. So we're going to need to go to our domain controller. So let's go back to Hyper-V and bring in our DC, and we're going to log in. All right, so inside of our domain controller, all we need to do right here is we're going to open up group policy management, and it's already here for me. And at the top, just go ahead, under group policy objects, just go ahead and click new, and it's a new group policy, right, for this printer. So we're going to call this deploy. Domain printers for printer. You can name it whatever you want. This is just going to be the name for it. All right, so now that this GPO is here and it is created, I'm going to go ahead and link it to the site itself. Okay, so up top right here, I want to link it existing GPO. deploy domain printer. I'm going to click OK. That means this GPO is linked to the entire domain. So everyone inside of this domain, no matter where they're located, should be able to access this printer. Now, inside of here, few things what we need to do, or we could do. You can go in and edit this. Sorry, that's the wrong GPO. Deploy domain printer. We're going to go ahead and edit. And you can edit this GPO just under preferences, control panel, and then on the printer, you can set up a new shared printer, right? And you can create or update, right? The share path, where you will get this is that over here, once this printer is shared, you should see the shared path right here that this printer is shared. So looking at the properties itself, right, you can see all you would need to do is add print in front of this, and you can see that this is the actual print name for this printer. All right, so the easiest way to push this out, you would need to do the share path to find it. So you can go right here and do find, because we listed in the directory. So right there is the name print, and then that is the name of it right there. So it will show you print slash and then the name we call it, which is the exact name over here. Set this printer as default, right? And then we're going to click apply and click OK. So we assign this to this GPO right here. Real easy. And we're going to go ahead and go back here and refresh to make sure this is pushed out. On my domain controller, I'm going to go ahead and do a GPO update as well. Let that push itself. And my group policy is being pushed out. Now let's go ahead and minimize this. We will need to be back on our PC to do some tests. We know that this is working over here before because we listed it in the directory. And then the next step we want to do is now right click this, and we're going to go ahead and deploy with group policy. And at this stage right here, you can see the name of this printer. So before we get started, right, let's go back to a refresh. And we're looking to see that group policy that's on the AD that we just pushed out. See if it's going to take on this PC real quick. So let's update this policy. So there you go. So you see right here, this printer is specified. It got pushed out straight from the group policy. And as you can see now, for printers, this is now the default printer that was pushed as a group policy out to the network. Really easy step. So if I go ahead and I click on this, you can see that it says it's network connected. The model of the printer, that's it, because that was the driver and is actually categorized as a printer. From here, I can go ahead and do the properties, and you can see I can see basically the connection of it because that's what's being pushed out as a generic, right? If I wanted to do a print test page, right, you can open up basically a new document, set it as a default printer, you can, but it should already be set. So you can open up like a new document and just run a test page. So let's do a new text document. Call this something. Print. By default, it should be there because see that is checked. So now I can just go ahead and print from this computer from this computer, and you can hear it now that the GPO pushed out properly, and it is now printing that this documentation, right? Amazing. So on the print server as well, another way we could have done it as well, you can deploy this here. You could browse and you can add it to the deploy domain printer right here, right? So let's say, for example, we remove this device, click yes, and then we go over here and deploy. We're just finding the actual GPO that we use right there. Click OK. Click those two boxes. We're going to add this right here to per device and per machine. And then we're going to click OK. Right, so then when you go to deploy printers, now you can see that this is actually a deploy printer under the print server. And if you clicked on the printer, it's already deployed with the GPO. But it's with the directory, and you should be able to see. So like I said, now if you go back over here, your GPO update / force, see it shows up a little different icon this time, right? Weird. And as a result, you'll probably see this error because we're using the two GPOs to push same GPO over here and here. So that's probably why you get this error. But now it came back through. So you can do either or. You decide. Just try not to use the same GPO if you're already configuring it on Active Directory. But that was just for test purposes, so you can see that it pushes it out, but it changes it. It changes it. But there you go. It's easy step to get your printer up and running. And by default, it's set there. If you go to add printers too, it should also show up in the network, which is right there. So users have the option to find the printer they want to use, or you can deploy it with the GPO and push it directly so that it becomes the default printer for everyone. And if you're working in Active Directory, just a quick note, if you're working in Active Directory and let's say you don't want everyone to be able to access this printer, when you deploy this printer out, you can go ahead and add it to a different settings. So basically, where you link it, you can do the different filtering to make sure that only certain users can have access to it. Okay, or you can delegate the printer itself. So when you edit and you go through and you select the preferences for the printer, let's drive map control panel. When you go down here and you select this, after you go to properties, you can go to common, and here you can run it to item level targeted, and then you can select if you only want a certain security group, you can match it up there. Find whoever you want. Let's say we only want a certain group, and then here you can list the group or add the group to whoever you want just to have access. So if you only want this to be targeted to sales, then now this printer will not be for everyone in the domain. It will only be targeted to your sales department or whatever department you choose. Okay, so that's another route, another option that you have available if you want to make this printer only be available to certain individuals or a certain group or, you know, a certain department. Okay, so that's about it, guys. This wraps up this video. It's under 30 minutes and not too long, but I showed you many steps of how you can get your printer up and running across the network. If you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask, post, comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. We appreciate you and thank you for watching.